Hello, thank you so much for joining me again. I think I'm probably going to title this episode Update because that is essentially what it is. And I'm going to take you on the journey of what the decision I'm making is and where that decision has come from. And yeah, whatever else needs to come through. We're just riffing as we normally do with no notes here. So it feels very vulnerable to share this, and that's okay. I'm just trusting my intuition here as I always do, but it feels uncomfortable because it's a little bit well, it's very unexpected, let's put it that way. So I really can't stand it when somebody is like alluding to something big and then they are just like putting it off for ages. So I'm just going to cut to the chase here and explain what the hell I'm talking about. I think the podcast, well, I know the podcast is, we're pressing pause on it for the time being. And I know I didn't see this coming at all. And I probably this isn't the first episode that you have heard. So if you're not new to me, you will know that I trust my intuition or gut or instinct, whatever you want to call it. I lead my business from that place. It doesn't matter what comes through, I trust it and follow it all. Even if it feels like it's very left field and unexpected and not logical and all of those things. Like as I'm saying this, I'm literally staring at the center. I've got like 3 vision boards above my computer on the wall behind me, and the one in the center, it's got the podcast imagery of Bigger Than You, and it's got 40k downloads. Like that's on my vision board. So I feel like it's on my timeline. Like this podcast isn't, I feel that it's not coming to an end. But who knows, right? I don't, like, with intuition, you never know the big picture. You only ever get like the next step. And so the next step for me right now is to press pause. And yeah, where has this come from then? Let me share this with you. So I felt resistance on, so my podcast episode goes out on a Monday at midnight, every night. And I have said over and over and over again on this podcast that, and then under other interviews I've done and things like that, I've always said the only commitment I have in my business outside of serving my clients is the podcast, and to have a podcast episode go out every single week without fail. Like that's a commitment I've made to myself. And that's what we've done. I've just put out episode 127, and it's been a weekly podcast for coming up. It's been over 2 years. Yeah, for 2 years. And so it felt uncomfortable. No, it didn't feel uncomfortable. That's not true. It got to Sunday night, and there was a bit of like personal drama going on, like for me over the weekend. And so I had the decision to make on a Sunday night. Are we going to go upstairs and schedule the podcast? It was all recorded, but I had to schedule it and like write the copy and stuff because I hadn't done that. And I listened to my body, and the answer was no. It did not feel right to do that. I felt resistance to doing that. And so I never, ever pushed through that I never pushed through resistance, right? Like I am really fully committed to zero push energy in my business 100% of the time. And so I honored that. I was like, okay, fine. We have said before that we're fully committed to an episode going out every week, but for some reason that's not supposed to happen tonight. And I trusted it. Didn't necessarily need to understand it, just honor what my body was telling me. And so I took Sunday night to rest instead. And when you have like this amount of self-trust, you can be a walking, talking contradiction. You know, you just trust whatever comes through. and you trust your like alignment cues. For me, I was on a podcast episode last night, actually, like me as a guest, and they know quite a lot about human design, and they could tell from what I was saying what my human design was. And I was talking about my intuition, how I can just feel things like the right moves with my body and stuff. So I'm not an expert in human design, but apparently like that described me. Anyway, irrelevant, Jenna. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it didn't make sense. I didn't know why I had this I didn't know why I was being called to not put an episode out as normal. By this point, it hadn't come through to hit pause on the podcast. But that's the thing with intuition, right? You only ever get the next move. Like, think of it like a stepping stone. You're crossing like a big expanse of water. And you are trusting that you're going to be led to the other side. You are trusting that there's stepping stones to get you all the way across, but you can only see the next stepping stone. So this is like an analogy for intuition, right? You step onto that stepping stone, and then the next one will appear, and the next one will appear. But you don't just hold back because you can't see a way to get to the other side of the river. You just trust that when you take that next step, i.e., you follow that piece of intuition, you will get the next bit, and that clarity comes in. But clarity only comes in when you take action, right? If you like stall and you stop taking action and you don't trust that bit of intuition that's come in, well, then you're not going to get the next piece, and you cannot move forwards in alignment, because that intuition is that higher self wisdom that's giving you the answer. But if you don't trust it, well, then you're not going to get to the other side of the river, are you? You're just going to stay where you are. So yeah, I didn't know why I was being called to not put the episode out on a Sunday night, but I trusted it. And I went to bed. I rested. That's what my body was telling me to do. Rest on that Sunday evening night. So I did. Woke up the next morning. Normally I'd wake up and I would have like downloads of the podcast, because it gets released overnight, and people obviously in time zones ahead of me, like Australia, New Zealand and stuff, they would have like listened to the podcast already by then, but obviously it hadn't been released, and that felt a bit strange. But I was like, okay, cool, we trust it, and when it feels right to release the episode, then I will. As it happened, it was a guest episode, and so I got in touch with Emily, she's a friend anyway, who was the guest on that episode, and I let her know that, you know, it hadn't gone out as aired, but I'll keep her informed and let her know when it was going out, and that was fine. And then I think it was Monday, coming home from the school run, it dropped in like what this next move was, and that was, you need space, Jenna. You need space for something else to come through. And I don't know what that is yet, but the space is needed from, like, it takes energy, right, to be a podcast host. It takes a lot of energy and everything to run it and to grow it and to give to it, right? I have taken my podcast incredibly seriously over the last 2 years, and I never do anything knowingly out of alignment. And so the minute I felt this kind of resistance on the Sunday night, I honored that. And then it dropped in, okay, it is time to pause, because something else is right around the corner. And like I say, I don't know what that is yet, but here's the thing about alignment. And I like to explain this in the concept of like a house. The house is your life, right? And your current reality. And we need to be always very aware of what is in our house. Because if there are things that are misaligned in the house, then they are taking up space and blocking something else from coming in, right? You only have a certain amount of space in the house, and we're alluding to energetic capacity here, or what you are in alignment for. And so, yeah, you need to constantly be aware of what is in your house, like energetically, where are you using your energy? and what is taking up space in that house. Because everything that you desire, everything that you want and that you see in your mind's eye is possible for you. And the minute you think of something that you want, the universe says yes. Like, it's not a case of, oh, that's a big ask, you have to wait for that. No, the minute you think, oh, that would be amazing if I could do this, or I would like to do this, the universe says yes straight away, right? The reason you desire the things that you desire is because it is meant for you, right? So the universe says yes. And what happens is those desires, they are right outside your house on the doorstep. The minute you desire them, they land on your doorstep. But they are aware of the house, right? And they are aware that currently the house is full. And so the only way, it's like a one in, one out policy, the only way that your desire is going to manifest into your 3D reality, i.e. come into the house, is if you create space for it. Okay, and how we create space is by working through limiting beliefs and taking action when you recognize that something is misaligned. And what it means to be in alignment is constantly changing, right? As you grow and you up level and you evolve, right? We're always learning, we're always evolving, we're always growing, especially if you're like really dedicated to your own personal development. What it means to be in alignment for you moves and shifts very, very quickly. So things that were aligned 6 weeks ago suddenly can be misaligned. And unless you are aware, unless you have a really good level of awareness and ability to recognize when something feels out of alignment, even if just a week ago it was in alignment, unless you spot that, you will let things stay in your house longer than they need to be. But when you spot it, as long as you take action, right? There's literally no point in becoming aware of something if you're not going to do something about it, right? So that would be me realizing that, oh, it feels quite heavy to consistently put this podcast out now, but it's, you know, it's doing well and people love it. And how am I going to have credibility if I don't have a podcast? And you can hear all of these limiting stories that might pop up in my head that would then block me from honoring the intuition to press pause, right? When we let our ego or when we let fear talk and hold us back from doing what we want to do in our heart, what feels expansive to do, what is the aligned action to take, we are skewing ourselves out of alignment, right? When we have fear holding us back, we are in a lack frequency, right? You can only ever be in alignment or out of alignment, okay? And when you're out of alignment, it's mostly due to either an unconscious awareness that you are, or fear stopping you, holding you back, okay? Some of that is very often unconscious, sometimes conscious. You know, you can realize you're holding yourself back, but not understand why. But when we let that fear hold us back, we are moving from a lack frequency, scared of a potential outcome or scared or whatever it is, right? And lack moves get lack results. We are a match. We are a match. Like the things that we experience in our external reality are a match for what we are, right? We're energetic beings. We are vibrating on a frequency, and just like a tuning fork will make another tuning fork vibrate and make a sound if it's an energetic match, that's what we are. So we create the external reality based on the frequency that we are giving off, okay? And if that's a lack frequency, then we'll get that back. And basically that in other words, if we are moving from lack, we are keeping limiting beliefs inside our house. You know, that house I was talking about, they're staying inside the house. They are taking up space and therefore blocking the thing, one of your desires that is out on the doorstep, stopping it from coming in because there's literally no space. I hope this makes sense. So yeah, it came in on my way back from the school run, walking home. I was like, wow, I did not see that coming at all. And it's okay that I have it on my vision board that I want the podcast to be absolutely huge. Doesn't mean to say that, you know, just because I'm pressing pause doesn't mean to say that I'm going to like burn the whole thing down. I don't know. I don't know why this is happening, and I don't need to understand why either. Okay. Hence me being here and open and honest with you, doing this update episode. We're pressing pause for now. And I'm not going to carry on from a people pleasing space. You know, there are tons and tons of episodes that you can go back and listen to. Or if you're listening to this and you've just found the podcast, don't panic. There's 127 episodes that you can go and binge. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what is around the corner. And I did a podcast episode last night where I was a guest, and I absolutely love being guests on other people's podcasts. So I definitely am going to carry on that. I literally could talk for hours, and I always get such positive feedback around like how well I explain things and how, you know, it's really useful information. And so it's coming from a place of service for me to go out and be a guest on other people's podcasts. And I'm being honest with you, actually, I realize I know why I need space. Number one, I've not been getting on as many other podcasts as I want to. Because it takes time and energy, right? And I could hire somebody to pitch for me, but I'm a podcast host and I delete all emails that don't come from a personal you can hire. Interesting. This is just my take, by the way. So it's not necessarily every podcast host's experience. But as a podcast host, I don't have guests on if they are pitched to me by a third party. You know, if they've paid somebody to do their pitching for them, I just delete it. Okay. Because that, yeah, and it's not necessarily true, but I've had the experience where somebody comes on the show and it's like they've done a million other interviews and they're literally just like blah, 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 the same stuff. And it just doesn't feel like that connection wasn't there. In the same way that all the connection and all the like authentic conversation I've had with other guests. So yeah, might be shooting myself in the foot, but yeah, if I see a podcast email that somebody else is pitching on behalf of somebody, I'm like, nah, I'm not sure on like people to have on the show as guests anyway. So just delete those emails. But that's why, like, I want to be on other people's podcasts more, but I'm not willing to outsource that because I believe it should come, you know, from the person who wants to be on the show. That's just my opinion. So there's that. I recognize that I've not been, I haven't had the space to pitch. If I ask myself, what have I been tolerating? That's a question I've asked myself over the last few days. One of them has been tolerating not getting on enough podcasts. And obviously, in order to get on the podcast, you need to have the conversations to pitch yourself. And I've just not been doing that. So that's that. The other thing that is only really coming through as I am recording this is the thing that's come about in the last 3 months that's sort of brand new in my business is the membership, my Grounded Wealthy Woman membership. And obviously that takes energy to run. And it's amazing. Like, I absolutely love it. But it takes energy, right? I have the Grounded Wealthy Woman membership in my house of alignment, and it wasn't there 3 months ago. So it's taking up space. And I'm not willing to push, I'm not willing to go into like push energy and start like working harder than I need to, or I believe I need to. Just don't need to do that. So I respect what my body tells me in my business, and I'm not running from a place of fear in the sense that I need to do this membership and I need to keep the podcast going and no, I just respect and trust my intuition. So the membership takes energy that wasn't there 3 months ago. I absolutely love that. That's something that I want to grow. And so for now, the podcast is leaving the house, the house of alignment. But it might come back. Who knows? You know, I'm not burning it to the ground or anything like that. It's just we're pressing pause. And yeah, I don't know where it's going, but it's exciting. I'm really, really excited. So how are we going to wrap this up? First of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you, first of all, this coming through. Thank you to all of the guests. Feels like a bloody acceptance speech, an acceptance speech, isn't it? Thank you to all the guests who have come on the show in the past, well, over a year since I've been having guests. I always get great feedback about the balance of solo shows and also the value that having guests on the podcast brings. So it's, for me, it's a really nice mix of having those guest episodes. And I bloody love it as well. Like, honestly, the conversations I've had with guests over the past more than year, it just like, it's such a privilege as a podcast host. I'm just getting the I'm just getting something coming that I wanted to do a podcast episode about like do's and don'ts if you're thinking about starting a podcast. So that may or may not come out. Hi, Guy. Whoops, I didn't mean to say that. I'm recording a podcast episode. Because I'm recording live on Instagram as well. I don't normally say hello out loud to the people that pop on. I normally just click the wave button, but there you go. Guy, hello, Guy. Guy's in my membership. Guy's getting a special shout out on the podcast. What am I saying? Yes, so it's been an absolute honor to have loads of guests on and have the most incredible conversations. And honestly, as a podcast host, it feels amazing to have like those great guests on and be a part of those brilliant conversations. But what was I also said something else then, didn't I? What was I saying? Can't remember. So yeah, thank you to the guests. Thank you to the listeners. It's hard. I was saying about doing a podcast episode around starting a podcast. That may or may not come. Like, if it feels expansive and I feel like I get the energetic rush to do that, then yes, I'll just jump on and do release a random episode. But I'm not promising anything. What was I saying? Sorry, guys, it's a bit of a mess, isn't it? It's fine. Oh yeah, as a podcast host, you see the numbers, you see the downloads, and you never actually really know who's listening. You see like where people are listening and all of that jazz, but you don't actually know who's listening. So when you get those messages from people saying, "Oh, I listened to this episode, that was, really helpful," blah blah. It's really, really lovely to get those messages. And actually something that was really funny the other day, one of my friends and also somebody who's been in a mastermind with me before, we were in like a bit of a peer support Facebook group where we just sort of support each other as business owners. And the other day I put something in there, I can't remember what it was, but I was asking for advice on something. And one of my friends, she's also in the membership as well, she said, "Oh, this I listened to this podcast episode and it was great, really, really helpful." And it was funny because she just shared one of my podcast episodes back to me. Anyways, we're waffling, aren't we? What am I saying? Yeah, so yeah, it is really, really lovely to hear from people when they say that they found episodes useful or the podcast helpful, things like that. So thank you so much for being here. I probably will miss doing this and I will be back as and when. I don't have any rules, do I? So if I put out sporadic episodes because I feel inclined to do so, I will, and I won't make it mean anything about going back against my word or anything like that. So opportunities for you from now on. Another thing that came through actually when I was journaling on what am I tolerating the other night, apart from having the podcast, that was one big one, but another one was about the membership, because up until this point I had decided to have this structure whereby the membership is closed most of the time, and then we only open the doors like for a short window of time, and that felt right in terms of like tidiness in my business and like having the doors open for a certain amount of time, blah, blah, blah. It felt right. But when I journaled on that the other night, Journaling is so powerful, by the way, to just like tap in. I can see in my mind, like how you get maple syrup, you like just tap a hole in the tree. Not that I've ever done this, but I've seen it on programs. You like tap into the tree and like the maple syrup comes out. Journaling is like that. It's like tapping into the subconscious, even when you've done so much work on yourself and are super aware. Like my level of self-awareness is really, really high because of what I do. Even so, journaling like really takes you to that next level and gives you so much insight. It literally is like, if your subconscious is a tree, journaling is like the maple syrup tool that goes in, and then the maple syrup comes out. Like the insights from your subconscious that you weren't aware of come out. Like journaling, oh, it's just amazing. So yeah, I journaled on that question the other night, and it came through to stop having this doors open, doors shut thing that's not right for the membership. And so I am really, really excited. I'm in the process this week of reaching out to the members, and I set them a challenge actually, because if you've heard me speak more than once, you'll know that I have this mantra about how do I let this be easy in my business, right? Whatever comes through, comes through. So I knew that I had to, if I wanted to like get more members in. I've not opened the doors since the membership started. So it's been almost 3 months now, and the members in there are having a great time. They're getting like lots of shifts and everything. And so I want to get their feedback to use as social proof for when I promote this. So I asked, how can I let this be easy? And it came through to do a challenge. So I set my members a challenge yesterday, 24 hours. To basically get some feedback to me, either a little video or a testimonial. And I'm going to hold a bonus Q&A call for them next week for the ones who do it. And I have lost count now, but I think I've got at least 10 like amazing bits of testimonials to add to the sales page. So why I'm sharing this for you is to always use that question, how can I let this be easy? Okay, because your subconscious just likes to make things hard, because we're conditioned that things need to be hard in life, don't they? And they really don't. So when we open a tab in our mind to ask ourselves, like, how can we let this be easy? Something drops in. But if you don't ask the question, you're not going to get a solution. So yes, that is a way to make things so much easier in your life and business. Anyways, we're going on quite a lot. So let's wrap this up. The doors are opening very, very soon to the membership, probably by the time, I don't know. Yes, I'm going to try and make it so that by the time I release this, in the show notes, the membership link will be there. Currently, it says join the wait list, but that's a page redirect. So I'm going to switch that off so that if you come across this and you take a look at the sales page, the information in the show notes, and it looks like something that you want in your life to support you with your mindset in your business in a very low cost and low risk way, then you can jump straight in. You don't need to join the wait list and wait, basically. Okay, so what it looks like then is I like, the reason I started it was to give subconscious reprogramming support in a very accessible way, and mindset support in a very accessible way. So what it is then, it's £44 a month, cancel anytime, and every month has a theme and a Q&A call and a hypnosis track. And the hypnosis track gets released via a private members podcast. And we have a Facebook group where there's just an amazing community of support, celebration, and the safest space. Like, I've had it come back so many times about how safe the space is, and you can bring anything. It doesn't have to be about your business. It can be about something that's challenging in your life. I run, like, my mid-ticket work is Powerhouse Portal. And I had one of the comments that came back from the membership members yesterday when I asked for feedback was, it's really, really nice that I can ask a question and get such in-depth such an in-depth response from Jenna. She doesn't hold back. She doesn't make you feel like you have to invest in her one-to-one or invest in her Powerhouse Portal in order to get a deeper level of support. And that's really important to me. So that's not the first time I've had that comment as well. So it is high level support, community, and subconscious reprogramming available in a very low cost, accessible way. And the reason I do that is to because a certain number of people that join are going to want to have deeper support with me in, for example, Powerhouse Portal or my one-to-one. And I want them to know what that's going to feel like, right? I don't gatekeep. And so, and that works as a strategy because it's serving, right? It's coming at your work from a place of service, and your clients will know that if they want closer, if they want more personalized support and more frequent support, then the next level is available, but you don't have to sort of pay to experience what that would feel like, right? So that's important to me, to like properly show up in the membership and give the support that people are looking for. So if you would like to join, yeah, I'm going to make sure that I don't publish this before it's possible for you to join. So if you're listening to this and you would like some support around the mindset in your business, let's say, for example, like possible ways this might support you. If you've got massive goals, but you're not growing at the rate you would like to be growing at, or you know how you could be showing up, but you're showing up in a different way, i.e. you want to have more ease and more balance and more space in your business. You know, it's possible, but you cannot seem to create that. For some reason, you're always making yourself so busy, and you know, either over giving or not being able to say no, or being addicted to working, or being addicted to your phone, or like just not having enough fun, or whatever it is. If your business right now doesn't feel exactly how you want it to feel, and that's important, right? Because the universe doesn't respond to our effort, it responds to our frequency. So if you are working all the hours under the sun, and like if you're not working like tangibly in a actual doing sense, but you're up here thinking about your work and you can never ever switch off, then it's the same thing as saying you're working 24/7, because energetically you're working, right? And so it's not sustainable because you're always working. You want to be able to have a business that is sustainable, that's going to be here in years to come. You know, if you're doing the work that you feel that you're here to do, and by the way, I do attract very soulful business owners because they're a match for me. That's what I am. And like spiritually curious as well as very spiritual as well. Whatever resonates, right? If you want more support, if you want some mindset support in your business because you realize that you are holding yourself back, whether you are very established in your business, it doesn't matter what level you are at, there is a space for you inside the membership, and it is just the most wonderful, supportive community that is just, yeah, so kind. And it's only been around for like 3 months. So, and that feeling and that vibe has been there from the very, very start. And that just makes it so incredible to run. So yeah, I am going to round this up. So if you would like to join Grounded Wealthy Woman, just hit the link in the show notes, and it will be available for you to join straight away. And when you join, you will get immediate access to the private podcast channel with the hypnosis tracks on from previous months. You will get access to the members portal where we have our call replays and the Become the Match training, which is a framework I use through every single client. That's how we create our reality from a place of how we create our success and the feeling that we want to be feeling in our life from a place of ease and flow and spaciousness and balance and joy and peace and all the things that feel good. That's how we create it. And then yeah, you obviously get access immediately to the members Facebook group too. So Guy, the guy, that's funny. Guy, the person that I accidentally said hello to out on the audio earlier, has just written in the comments on the IG Live, do it. It's a great group of people. Yeah, it is. Thank you, Guy. Right, I'm going to wrap this up then. Thank you for listening. Thank you for, if you've been around for a while and listened to the podcast for a while, thank you so much for your support. It means the world. Even if you've never reached out to me and I don't even know that you have been listening, like lots, I still appreciate you. I don't need to know that you're there. I can see the numbers, right? So thank you, thank you, thank you. And if this is your first episode that you are coming across, then have no fear. There's so much to support you in the in all the back episodes, and they are all still relevant. I haven't changed much in terms of my view in terms of, well, actually, if you go way back, you'll see where I pivoted in my business, but essentially, like, yeah, I haven't changed much. Everything that I talk about has evolved, but in terms of content, it's still relevant. So go and pick and choose what feels good to listen to. Anyway, for some reason, I can't seem to be able to wrap this up. I am going to wrap this up now. Thank you. And I am sure I will be back. I don't know when or in what format that will look like, but I am sure this is not the end. But if you want to come and connect, come over onto Instagram at I am Jenna Holloway. I would love to have you over there, because I will still be going live very regularly. Like I whenever I kind of get inspired, whenever I feel like something needs to be said, and it's like meatier than a quick 60-second story, like I'll often just jump on a live and share what needs to come through. So come and join me on Instagram for those intuitive lives, as the podcast is coming to an end, or what do you call it, a hiatus. Yes, I'm gonna finish now. Thank you, and I am sure I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.